Good morning. It's Tuesday, April the 29th. Wow, we're almost there, Lee.
Well, we've got a little to go, but yeah, we're making progress.
Hi, guys. I'm Mary Tipps, Executive Director of Texans for Lawsuit Reform, joined today by my colleague, Lee Parsley, who's our General Counsel and President.
Good morning, Mary.
Good morning, Lee. Okay, we've gotten SB 30 and SB 39 out of the Senate onto the House.
Right. It's good work, Mary. So just so everybody's clear, Senate Bill 30 is the bill having to do with the medical damages we've talked a lot about. Senate Bill 39 has to do with trucking litigation and an amendment that was put on a law that we worked on in 2021 that we need to work on again in 2025. Where are we?
Yes, we do. And thank goodness for all of our LC members who have written letters, made phone calls, letting the members of both houses know how important this bill is. We couldn't have done this without them.
No, and citizen involvement is absolutely critical to what we do, and we've got a big coalition that you've built, Mary.
Well,
Great job.
We all built it. And back on Senate 39, Bill 39, I want to compliment Senator Birdwell for what a great job he did laying out that bill this week and getting it across the finish line in the Senate.
Yes, he did a fantastic job. He was very well prepared by his staff there to be complimented as well. And so it just went smoothly. And now on the House side, it's already been heard in the House committee. This companion bill has. And so it's ready to go when Senate Bill 39 gets to the Judiciary Committee on the House side. It'll go through that process pretty quickly, be voted out, we hope, go to the Calendars Committee and be ready to go to the House floor fairly soon. Senate Bill 30. Its companion will be heard sometime in the next week or two in the Judiciary Committee on the House side. Then the same thing off to Calendars Committee and off to the House floor. So we're making real progress on both of those.
And anybody who's watching that wants to come and testify in the House Committee on SB 30, you just let me know, mary@tortreform.com. I will gladly help you get here.
Excellent.
Okay, that leads us to one bill that's not as easy for some people to understand, to include me, and that's public nuisance.
Right.
So I have a question.
Okay.
If I decided to go streaking through my neighborhood, would I be a public nuisance?
Mary, that the chances of me answering that are pretty close to zero. No, absolutely not. You would not be a public nuisance. You would be art. You would be art, Mary.
Thank you, Lee. That's very kind of you. So give me some other examples of someone who's not an attorney like me who can understand what is a public nuisance.
Okay, that is a good question. And public nuisance sounds like if a group of people, the public, are annoyed by something, therefore it would be a public nuisance. Well, that's not at all what it's supposed to be. It is historically when someone interferes with a public right, a right held by the public in general, then the government could sue them to fix that interference. So let's go back a couple of hundred years,
right.
And let's say, Mary, your ox and cart
are blocking the boat.
Have broken it down in the road, and they're blocking the road, and so people cannot access that public road. That would be a public nuisance. In the old school England, the courts could help force you to remove your ox and cart from the road. That's the historic use of the public nuisance doctrine. But it's been expanded, like I said. At this point, there are lawyers out there who think that anything that annoys enough people is a public nuisance. The problem with that is that it swallows everything.
Right.
You literally could be a public nuisance in anything you do. Any product, any activity could arguably annoy enough people to be a, quote, public nuisance, the way lawyers are trying to use that doctrine today.
Like someone eating my snacks in the kitchen.
Well,
enough people were upset about it.
Enough people. So that's it. So it is become a mechanism for some lawyers, and working typically with city and counties governments, to pursue lawsuits to change public policy without going through the legislature and without going through their city council or their county government. So if you're mad about something that's going on in society and you can't get the government to change it the democratic way, then you go to court and you say, well, that's annoying a lot of people. It's a nuisance, and you, court system, should shut it down, and you should impose damages on whomever is doing it.
Do the people that are annoyed typically get compensated, or just their attorneys?
Well, typically these lawsuits are brought by city and county governments, and they do, if the lawsuit prevails, the city and county government recovers a pile of money, which they share with the lawyer, and they keep what's left over. So let me talk about where it's used in the United States these
Please.
days, this public nuisance theory. It's being used all over the country to litigate about climate change. So there are San Francisco, Hawaii, cities and counties around the country have been suing oil and gas industry, saying that the oil and gas products are burned in vehicles and burned in other ways, and therefore release carbon into the atmosphere, and the carbon changes the climate. And so therefore the oil and gas industry should pay billions and billions of dollars in damages for changing the climate. Now, climate change, however you feel about climate change, if it needs to be regulated, if the oil and gas industry needs to be regulated in regard to climate change, that should be legislative. The U.S. Congress can do it. The state legislature in Texas or any other state could do it. But it shouldn't be up to a judge and 12 members of a jury to regulate climate change by saying that the oil and gas industry needs to pay billions of dollars in damages to a particular city or county. And that's the way the public nuisance doctrine is working. And it's used for lots of kind of crazy things these days.
Well, yeah. The American Tort Reform Association put out a press release, alarming expansion in public nuisance litigation revealed by new ATRA report. From social media to car thefts, new litigation trends threaten entire industries.
Right. So exactly, car theft. There's an example. There, I believe it's the St. Louis, Missouri, has sued Kia and Hyundai, claiming that their cars are too easily stolen. And because their cars are too easily stolen, that, according to the city of St. Louis, is a public nuisance for which Hyundai and Kia should pay damages.
To the city.
To the city. So just on the face of it, that seems pretty preposterous because, well, it is.
Yeah.
Pepsi is, at least Pepsi, maybe Coca-Cola too, but at least Pepsi is in a lawsuit with a city government over its plastic bottles. So the city government is saying, well, the plastic bottles are being disposed of by just throwing them down in the street, and they become in the water supply and so forth. And so Pepsi should pay damages for the fact that its products are packaged in plastic bottles, and it should owe billions of dollars in damages to clean up the rivers. And again, Pepsi is acting lawfully. Their product is packaged lawfully. They have done nothing. They didn't throw it in the water supply. But yet the claim is, well, they need to pay billions of dollars in damages to clean up the water supply around these cities.
That's insane.
It is not what the public nuisance. It's not anything like get it your ox and cart out of the road, right? It can be used for any purpose. And so the bill that we're working on, Senate Bill 779, would say that if you are doing something that you are lawfully permitted to do, packaging your product in a plastic bottle, you're lawfully permitted to do that. Producing oil and gas, making gasoline out of it, selling that to people who need it to drive their cars is lawful activity. If you're doing something that's lawful, our statute would say you can't be sued for damages under the public nuisance doctrine.
Seems completely reasonable.
That's what we think, completely reasonable. Now, what we hear is, well, we don't have a problem with the public nuisance lawsuits in Texas. Our cities and counties and state government aren't pursuing these ridiculous lawsuits. Well, somewhat that's true, but it's only a matter of time.
Sure.
It's only a matter of time. So one of the questions in our hearing the other day on this was, okay, you've got a concrete batch plant, and it's putting sort of smoke into the air, and shouldn't the citizens around it be able to sue under the public nuisance doctrine? And the answer to that is, if the TCEQ, Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, has licensed that plant to operate and to put into the air whatever it's putting into the air, that's a lawful activity. If that's wrong, then those people who are upset by it need to come to the legislature and say, change the rules for concrete batch plants.
Right.
Or they need to go to TCEQ and say, change your regulations for concrete batch plants. But filing a lawsuit when this batch plant is operating perfectly legally is what we think shouldn't happen. So it is a mechanism to use the court system to do what you can't accomplish legislatively in many circumstances. And our bill says you operate lawfully, you can't get sued in a public nuisance doctrine, and it gives the power back to the legislature to regulate, to make laws to protect the public. And we're not weighing in on what those laws ought to be. We're just saying the legislature is the proper authority to do that.
Well, what's the status of the bill?
Well, it's passed out of the Senate. It's had a hearing in the House Judiciary Committee, and I hope will be voted out fairly soon and be on, as we talked about, to the Calendars Committee and then the House floor for, I hope, passage and to become law in Texas. And if we do this, I think we'll lead the nation on this sort of limitation on an abusive use of the public nuisance doctrine. I'm guessing other states will follow Texas.
As usual.
As usual. And I think it's the right thing to do. If you're, all of you people out there, if you're doing the right thing, if you're acting lawfully, think about it. Should you be able to be sued because he bugs people? And that's a public nuisance lawsuit today by many lawyers in many cities and counties in this nation. And we think it's wrong. We ought to fix it.
We should, and we will.
And we will.
Okay, that's a wrap for today. We'll look forward to seeing you next Tuesday. Thanks for watching.